Hi guys, welcome back to SwitchUp. Remember, if you're new to the channel, you're most welcome here, and do consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. If you haven't managed to do so, go and check out my coverage of Monster Hunter, as well as the best upcoming RPGs. I'll pop a link to those down in the description. Congratulations to the winner of last week's free game. Check out the name in the top pinned comment. This week our sales are pretty low key. I'm looking at not hidden gems, but smaller titles that aren't going to break the bank, but I think are really good fun, or those that are a little bit more expensive, but as I say, potentially hidden gem material. With that said, what's on sale? Well, let's find out. First up then, and cut into the chase of my favourite game this week, it's Risk of Rain 2. This is currently 50% off until January the 13th. It carries a download size of 2.8 gigs and comes from publisher Gearbox and developer Hoppu Games. The first game in the series had a classic pixel art style, but this time around it has a fully 3D world, but the same compulsive survival roguelike gameplay. There's co-op play here as well. In fact, there's 110 different items to find and use for each of your runs. There are 10 different survivors to unlock and play as, and each of them have their own unique combat styles. It's probably one of the best implementations of one roguelite and to some random generation. Things that are just so badly done across the board, they absolutely nail with Risk of Rain. It's seen a few patch updates as well. It does have online 2 to 4 player co-op, and I don't know how else to say it. It's the lowest it's ever been on sale. It is well worth it. Definitely hidden gem material and really good fun to play. If you've played it, please do pop down in the comments and let people know just how good this one is. Next up then, we've got a game that really doesn't tick either of the categories of hidden gem or being really cheap, but it's one of the best games that's still on sale in both the UK and US eShops, and that's Crysis Remastered. This is currently 40% off until January the 18th, holds a download size of 7.4 gigs, and obviously comes from Crytek. This is a first-person shooter that has sandbox mechanics, so you're placed onto an island. Each stage is a very large open area, and you can approach each of the problems however you choose. I saw a really interesting video actually on sandbox games versus linear, and how the sandbox game is essentially the big box of Lego bits that you can go to and design things in any way which way you choose, whereas the linear game is the Lego set that you buy to make a specific model. And I thought that's a really nice analogy, and it's why for me Crysis has aged so well. It still has those sandbox mechanics that make it so fun, because each time you play it, it plays out so differently. Okay, well and truly back into budget territory, we've got Cosmic Star Heroine, which is one I recently finished, and I think it's decent enough, especially when it's only £2.19, 80% off, or your regional equivalent until January the 22nd. It's published by Limited Run Games and developed by Zeboyd Games. This is a single-player, role-playing adventure title that's set over 3 different planets. It's full of aliens, robots, magic, and different technologies, and it's a really fun little adventure. Now, things to note that won't appeal to some and might to others: it has obviously that 2D pixel art style. It has a lovely soundtrack with over 100 minutes of custom tunes. The combat is turn-based, and I know some of you love that and some of you don't, but it's quite fast-paced. It's not a slow game at all, and there's an interesting mechanic whereby you can recruit different agents, and obviously you have your own spaceship, which is awesome. For this price, well worth picking up, and the sale that goes on, as I say, until January the 22nd. Then we've got a great little action platformer called Guyana Sisters, which I believe came out on the Wii U as well. This comes from publisher Handy Games and was developed by Black Forest Games. It's currently 82% off, taking it down to about £5 or your regional equivalent, and it has a download size of about 1.2 gigs, so it's quite small. This is the director's cut, so it does have a few extra things in there. Man, I can't even say director today. And there are over 40 different levels to work your way through. They have a really nice visual to them, and I like the little mechanic where you switch between the 2 sisters and the world changes to reflect their unique natures, I guess. It's full HD 1080p and has a buttery smooth frame rate. This is very reminiscent of some of the old school side scrollers we had back on PlayStation, PSX. I always forget the name. It's something like A Clockwork Knight or something like that, but I can't remember. This one reminds me quite a bit of that game. Next up, we've got the delightful Cat Tails, which is 83% off, taking it down to £1.99. I'm not going to lie, I've had this sat on my Switch for ages. I looked at it and thought, yeah, that's going to be absolute garbage, but it's delightful. It comes from Falcon Development and is an RPG simulation adventure game where you become a cat. You have to hunt, fight, explore, socialize with other feline friends. You can even get married and have your own kittens. You then join one of 3 unique cat colonies, go hunting, find different treasures, you can date and marry as mentioned, and you can then upgrade and customize your own den. I know, sounds absolutely ludicrous. It's classic hidden gem stuff really. For £1.99, I dare you not to enjoy this. The sale ends on January the 15th and it has a very small download size of just 192 megs. Next up, we've got the Tenchu stealth assassin-like Aragami for the Nintendo Switch. It's been on sale a few times. It's currently 50% off, which means it's a very reasonable £9.99. In fact, in actual fact, that's 60% off. That sale goes on until January the 12th. Now, it is like Tenchu Stealth Assassin, is not, in my opinion, as good as that game. It's about 6 to 10 hours long and is obviously a third-person stealth adventure where you play as an undead assassin. You can teleport yourself into shadows and it's a fun enough time. I did enjoy it and I do like this style, and it's worth noting that this edition also includes an extra story campaign called Aragami Nightfall, which is a prequel to the events of the mainline story. It's got a slightly larger download size of 3.6 gigs. Its slower pace isn't going to suit everyone, but as I say, if you're a fan of old school Tenchu, then you might enjoy this. One thing I totally forgot is that it has online co-op, and if you can find a friend that's got it as well, it's much more enjoyable. This next little hidden gem then is one, unfortunately, that's only available in the EU and Australian stores. It may be available in some other places, but not available in America, unfortunately. And it's called Super Epic: The Entertainment War. It features a raccoon riding a llama. You have to travel around this castle-like office that's full of different enemies and challenges, but it's got tons of hidden rooms. It plays out like a Metroidvania where you get new skills to go to new areas, but it's got really good writing, so there's lots of little cutscenes that are very funny, and I was surprised by just how polished and well designed this game was. It's only 868 megs. Comes from publisher Numskull Games, and it will take you around about 12 to 15 hours to complete. It's currently only £3.74, so that's 75% off, which is a real bargain, and it goes on until January the 14th. Next up then, and these two games come with a Mark Walker absolutely loves his old school point and click adventure games. They're very slow and you potentially won't enjoy them. And it's the Lost Horizon games. They're currently down by 80%. Taking them down to about £2 each. But if, like me, you do like those old school point and clicks, then you might enjoy them. They're set in the year 1936 when former British soldier and failed smuggler Fenton Paddock sets out to find his lost friend in the Himalayas. It spans over 3 different continents, and as you'd expect, there's a good deal of ancient mysteries thrown in. Look, it's not going to set the world on fire. They are point and click adventure games, which I absolutely love. So if you like hand-drawn old school point and clicks, then you'll enjoy them. They are fully voice acted, and yes, it's quite cheesy, but yeah, I like them, and for a couple of £2 each, I don't feel too bad recommending them to you. The first game's about 6.8 gigs and comes from Koch Media, and the sequel, which I also bought in the sale, is only 4 gigs. It features the same characters, but without spoiling too much, it's a little bit further down the line in terms of time, and the graphics have seen a little bit of an improvement, and these also do have touchscreen controls, which is a nice touch for playing in handheld. Then we've got one that is absolutely not a hidden gem, but is well worth it for the very cheap price, and that's the Duke Nukem 20th Anniversary Edition, which is 50% off, taking it down to £3.99 or your regional equivalent. What I absolutely loved about this, apart from the fact that they'd implemented updated 3D visuals in terms of allowing you to switch to a more updated visual that didn't really look any different but ran really smoothly and improved some of the 3D elements. What I really liked was that it had online for 2 to 8 friends or not friends, but you could play in co-op, which is great. It reminded me of my disc swapping days on the PSX. Anyone know what I'm talking about there? Where you used to get a pen to hold the lid open and then you'd swap discs back and forward so you could do multiplayer games with just one CD. Oh man, good times. Nights playing Command & Conquer. Oh, you can hear the music, can't you? Dun, 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 dun. It's just me. Either way, this is well worth picking up. It's an amazing game. Classic 1996 style Duke Nukem. Campaign co-op if you want to do it. You've got the Duke match mode for playing against friends. There's the new weapon as well, the incinerator. And it's got the classic John St. John voiceover. I mean, what are you waiting for? Just go and have a bit of nostalgic fun. This sale goes on until January the 13th. It has a download of 611 megabytes. And obviously, yeah, as mentioned, comes from Gearbox. Okay, the penultimate game is called The Long Reach, and it's another little hidden gem. It's only £1.29, it's 90% off, and it's a very short game. So if you're not after something that's very short and an old school action adventure, then this might not be for you, but I really enjoyed it. I'd say this one is potentially the Marmite of the list. I know there's a couple of people that really didn't enjoy it, but it had a very macabre atmosphere that just kind of clicked with me. It starts off quite slowly and then everything kicks off and you'll find yourself trying to survive. There's not a great deal I can say without spoiling it. As mentioned, it's a very short game, but it might be worth checking out our full review of this one. I'll pop a link to that down in the top pinned comment. Just go easy. It's a very old review, so the quality's yeah. This has a download size of 506 megs and the sale goes on until the 12th of January. Last but not least then, and it's featured on a few of our hidden gem lists, and I still think it's quite hidden from a few people, it's a game called Submerged, which is a 3D adventure game whereby you and a sibling find yourself washed up in this dystopian future, a bit like Waterworld, but you're looking for a cure to the ailments of your sibling. You can take photographs around the world, there's lots of verticality and climbing. Look, the visuals aren't great by modern standards, but it's got a very kind of calm, chilled out atmosphere as you move around the world. You sail in your little boat, navigating the flooded city streets, and then use your telescope to look around the city for different supplies that you might need. It's another one, like many of these in this list, that isn't going to appeal to everyone. It is a very relaxing title, and it's also very cheap. It's 85% off, taking it down to £1.19. One piece of interesting trivia is that it's actually made by a group of ex-AAA vets who worked on things like Bioshock, and the music in the game is from BAFTA award-winning composer Jeff Van Dyke. That is the cheapest it's ever been, and that sale goes on until the 19th of January. Okay, it's that time of the week where we look at a couple of games that you should avoid like the plague, and I'm not going to lie, it was harder to find games you should buy than games you shouldn't buy this week, and you could say that that's always the case, but trust me, not like this week. But before you do that, I've just noticed that there's also a game called Cosmonauta, which I remember way back, a little Brazilian fella messaged me and was like, look, I'm working on my own, the pandemic's just hit, I'm making this game, how much will you charge for a shout out? And I was like, no, I'm not charging you. It's basically Jet Set Willy, if you remember that old game. It's got 64 levels, very retro style, and it's only, wait for it, 8p or your regional equivalent. Cosmonauta, go and do that little fellow a favour. I don't know why I'm calling him a little fellow, that's quite patronising. I've never seen him, he might be a giant, but 8p, fair play, well worth it for that price. Anyway, onto the avoids. And interestingly, I know Nintendo of America have changed their policy when it comes to reducing prices. Remember before, you get lots of things for like a cent or a penny. They're actually changing that to have like a cap of $1.99, and I'm not sure if it's coming over to the European side, but hopefully that will stop a lot of these pieces of crap flying up the eShop charts and everyone buying them. One particular repeat offender has to be the Hello Neighbor games. Those things always drop in price, and look, I like the developer, I like the publisher, those are good guys, but that game is just garbage. It's awful. You're moving around that house trying to avoid the neighbor, he pops up, you run away, he pops up, you run away, you think like, what is this? Is this where I've come to? No thanks. I'm going to play Cattails. And another one that I didn't enjoy at all. I know there's a few of you that like this, so you know, I'm sorry if this is a game you absolutely love. I really didn't enjoy it. And it was Thief Simulator. I was really hoping for good things, but on Switch at least, it's not a very pleasant experience, is it? It looks like trash. They've improved it slightly since launch, and fair play to them, they have worked on it a couple of times. But if you're going to get this, I would say don't get it on Switch. Get it somewhere else. The only thing being stolen on Switch is your money. And that's it for this week. There were lots to choose from. These are the ones I went for. The list is pretty chilled out, quite cheap, and hopefully there's some in there for new Switch owners to find a couple of little hidden gems. Let me know down in the comments if you've been playing Monster Hunter as much as I have. My goodness, I am totally addicted. Glen and I will have some more videos for you this week, some good stuff for you to enjoy. And as I always say, a big thank you to those people who support us on Patreon. We've actually had 2 new ones today, which is amazing. You don't have to do that. I'm going to sort out some little emojis for what's it called, YouTube membership or whatever it is, but I don't expect anyone to join and do that if they're unable at the moment. I don't know when I'm going to make that live. Someone asked about t-shirts. My wife has designed some sweet SwitchUp t-shirts, but again, we're just too busy to get around to actually make them live. But we will do that eventually. But again, whatever, it's a t-shirt. Just enjoy the videos, and yeah, big thanks to all of you for all things Switch all the time. Keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya.